Prince Andrew's darkest secrets were never meant to see daylight. But now, a former royal insider breaks the silence. From disturbing habits to hidden Epstein ties, the truth is more twisted than anyone imagined. This isn't just a scandal. It's a royal cover-up, finally crumbling in plain sight. Prince Andrew, a man-child with power and no consequences. From the very beginning, Prince Andrew was known as the one royal with zero accountability. Those who knew him at school called him a walking time bomb, spoiled, arrogant, and obsessed with status. He bullied classmates, belittled staff, and acted like the world owed him everything. The worst part? No one ever stopped him. Palace insiders said Andrew enjoyed humiliating people who couldn't fight back. If a staff member wore the wrong fabric or had a mole on their face, they were gone, fired, just like that. He treated people like dirt, said one former footman, and the palace just looked the other way. Everyone around him was forced to bow or call him Sir. He demanded it, not out of tradition, out of ego. The Queen, reportedly blind to his behavior, allowed a culture of entitlement to fester, and it grew. In one infamous incident at Royal Lodge, Andrew rammed the entrance gates with his car, causing £80,000 in damages just because they opened too slowly. Who paid? British taxpayers. It was covered up instantly, and his abuse of power didn't stop there. He regularly forced his police bodyguards to take speeding tickets for him, to fetch golf balls during rounds, and to lose sight of him intentionally, just for fun. That's not royalty. That's reckless privilege on steroids. Andrew's private life was equally disturbing. He would spend entire days doing nothing but playing Call of Duty, indulging in air baths, standing naked by open windows, or obsessively reading camera manuals. He wasn't a leader. He was a man trapped in adolescence, living in a fantasy world fueled by endless luxury. He had staff for everything, from wrapping his gifts to cleaning up after his dogs, and anyone who questioned it was swiftly removed. But all of this, the tantrums, the bullying, the arrogance, was just the prelude. The real scandal was yet to come. A darker connection loomed, one that even the palace couldn't keep under wraps forever. And it all led back to Jeffrey Epstein. Inside the walls, Andrew's disturbing private habits. Behind palace gates, Prince Andrew's lifestyle wasn't just lavish, it was disturbing. Multiple former staff and insiders have now gone public with claims that he had a serious addiction to pornography, frequently hired prostitutes, and enjoyed group sex sessions in private properties tied to royal grounds. One former bodyguard claimed Andrew's days were often spent locked in his room, playing Call of Duty for hours on end, disconnected from reality. He lived like a man who never grew up, said the source. Just a big kid with no rules. He'd make absurd demands, like asking his armed officers to pick up his golf balls. Or worse, forcing them to take the blame for his traffic violations. If they refused, they'd be replaced. His temper was legendary. When automatic gates didn't open fast enough at Royal Lodge, he rammed his car through them, causing tens of thousands in damage. But it was all covered up. Why? Because Andrew never faced consequences, not once. The palace protected him at all costs. His daily life was bizarre. He obsessed over tiny hobbies, like watching planes land or studying tech manuals for fun. He received daily massages, sometimes multiple. At one point, he even had a spiritual yogi flown in from India, paid for by the Queen. When Prince Charles learned about it, he cut the funding. One of Andrew's oddest rituals? The air bath, where he would stand naked near a window and breathe deeply, convinced it was healing. A man with everything, and yet nothing grounding him to reality. These weren't just harmless quirks. They painted the picture of a man living without boundaries, powered by arrogance, wealth, and protection. And when you put that mindset in the same room as a man like Jeffrey Epstein, the results were catastrophic. What came next wasn't just a scandal. It was a royal reckoning the monarchy could no longer ignore. The Epstein ties, Andrew's darkest connection. By far the most damaging stain on Prince Andrew's legacy is his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, a name now synonymous with global disgrace. For years, Andrew publicly claimed he cut ties with Epstein in 2010, just after his arrest. But private emails from 2011 tell a very different story. In one damning message, Epstein writes to Andrew saying, "Let's play a bit more." This was after Epstein's conviction. And Andrew? He replied with warmth, still calling Epstein gentle and suggesting plans to meet again. This wasn't some forgotten friendship. Epstein wasn't just a rich acquaintance. He was a portal, a gateway into a life of excess, secrecy, and indulgence that Andrew had grown addicted to. Sources say Andrew used Epstein's network for more than parties. He relied on it for discretion, for luxury, and for access. Epstein's properties became safe havens where Andrew could behave recklessly, far from public scrutiny and palace eyes. What's worse, even after Epstein's horrific crimes were exposed globally, Andrew showed no real remorse. Insiders say he wasn't worried about victims. He was worried about getting caught. The Queen reportedly tried to protect him, but even she couldn't erase the headlines. Despite multiple denials, the truth caught up. Virginia Giuffre's allegations, the infamous BBC interview, and mounting evidence proved one thing: Andrew wasn't being framed. He was finally being seen. And while the palace hoped the fallout would stop there, it didn't. Because Andrew wasn't alone. There was someone else tied to Epstein. Someone whose connection had stayed in the shadows far too long. Sarah Ferguson's role, deeper than anyone knew. For years, Sarah Ferguson, affectionately known as Fergie, played the part of a public advocate for women and children. A survivor, a single mother, a royal-turned-humanitarian, but behind closed doors? She was just as entangled in Epstein's web as Andrew, maybe even more. According to released documents, Jeffrey Epstein had 18 different contact numbers for Fergie, 2 more than he had for Prince Andrew. That's not a coincidence. That's a red flag. Despite publicly distancing herself from Epstein, even calling her ties to him a mistake, new findings show Fergie continued staying at his properties as late as 2014. That's years after she claimed to have cut contact. Even worse, while she denounced Epstein in the press, privately she was still calling Andrew her dear friend and accepting help from Epstein's team. This contradiction exposes Fergie's double life, championing victims in public, but keeping quiet about what she knew behind closed doors. Some insiders now believe she may be a material witness in the Epstein investigation, given what she saw at his properties. And if that wasn't enough, new leaks confirm she was warned repeatedly to step away from Epstein. But she didn't. She stayed close, even as the world recoiled. Her credibility is now in shambles. No longer just the Duchess of York, she's part of the scandal. And unlike Andrew, she still has access to the public stage. But as the Epstein ties tighten around them both, the palace faces a chilling question. How many more secrets are waiting to surface? The royal protection machine. How the palace buried the truth. Prince Andrew's behavior wasn't just scandalous, it was dangerous. But what made it worse wasn't just what he did, it was how far the royal institution went to protect him. For years, Insiders say the palace operated like a fortress, shielding Andrew from every consequence, no matter how outrageous the act. Take the case of the 80,000-pound gate at Royal Lodge. Andrew reportedly rammed it with his car in a fit of rage when it didn't open fast enough. Normally, that would have been a public incident, possibly even criminal damage. But not for Andrew. Taxpayers quietly covered the cost, and the story was buried. Even police protection officers weren't safe from his abuse of power. Andrew often used them as personal assistants, asking them to pick up golf balls or take the blame for his speeding tickets. Officers who complained were silenced or reassigned. Some even feared being blacklisted. Palace protocol was even engineered to suppress complaints. Unless a complaint came directly from a victim, it wouldn't be acted upon. That system wasn't designed for justice. It was built for silence. And it wasn't just Andrew they protected. Those who tried to investigate him, journalists, authors, even former staff, were hit with legal threats, intimidation, and reputational smears. Historians were warned off, and biographers were told their access to royal archives could be revoked. One royal researcher revealed the palace even used friendly historians to plant negative reviews or discredit investigative works before they were published. And when Andrew wanted something, even something bizarre, the palace would bend. He once hired a personal guru, a yogi, paid for personally by the Queen. When Prince Charles refused to continue funding it, the Queen overruled him. This was more than favoritism. It was systematic protection. A well-oiled machine designed to protect one man's ego, even if it meant burying truth, hurting victims, and tarnishing the monarchy's name. But one journalist wasn't afraid of that machine, and he paid the price for going up against it. The journalist who risked everything to expose it. For every headline that finally exposed Prince Andrew, there were years of silence, walls of secrecy, and one man who refused to stop digging. A royal biographer who spent 4 years investigating Andrew and the institution behind him, is now being called the whistleblower the Crown never saw coming. He contacted over 3,000 sources and convinced 300 of them to talk. Many went on the record, despite fearing backlash. He filed FOI, Freedom of Information requests, chased down archive records, and followed paper trails no one else dared to touch. But the cost was brutal. Sarah Ferguson's legal team sent threats. She reportedly warned her inner circle not to cooperate. His social media was monitored, and publishers were pressured to back out. When he tried to access critical letters and diaries funded by £5 million of taxpayer money, the government denied him. He fought the denial in court, and though he eventually won, he was not reimbursed. The case cost him over £500,000. He had to remortgage his home, sell personal assets, and watch as the very system he sought to expose tried to crush him financially. Still, he didn't stop. Because what he uncovered went beyond Andrew. It showed how public money, royal privilege, and palace power worked together to bury the truth. People think it's gossip, he said, but it's history, censored, rewritten, and hidden behind velvet curtains. His book wasn't just a tell-all, it was evidence. And once it hit shelves, the dam broke. Journalists, politicians, and citizens began asking questions that once got people blacklisted. The palace wasn't just facing a scandal anymore, it was facing a reckoning, and it started with one man who refused to be silenced. The breaking point: Prince William's quiet takedown. While the world watched Prince Charles hesitate, it was Prince William who stepped into the fire. Behind palace walls, royal aides now confirm William was the one who made the final push to remove Prince Andrew from royal life, not as an emotional reaction, but as a strategic survival move for the monarchy. For years, Charles reportedly struggled to act. His emotional tie to Andrew clouded his judgment. But William, he saw Andrew for what he had become, a liability wrapped in royal velvet. And he wasn't willing to let one man destroy everything the crown was supposed to represent. Sources say William quietly built support from those closest to the throne, Kate, Camilla, and even senior courtiers who had once kept their distance. It was a silent alliance, one focused on damage control and preserving what was left of public trust. The internal conversations were brutal. William allegedly told one aide, "If we let this rot continue, there won't be a monarchy left for George." That's how serious it was. For him, this wasn't about scandal. It was about the future of the institution. When the final decision came, Andrew stripped of titles, privileges, and public funding, William didn't gloat. He didn't speak. He didn't even attend the official briefing. He let the palace announce it as a collective decision. But insiders know William pulled the trigger, and his silence was louder than any press release. But that silence also sent a clear message across the royal world. The crown comes before the bloodline, and no one, not even the Queen's favorite son, is above the rules anymore. Political fallout, Parliament, public rage, and the crumbling crown. Prince Andrew's downfall didn't just stain the Windsor name, it shattered the illusion of royal untouchability. And now, the aftershocks are hitting Parliament, the press, and the people like never before. What began as a scandal about one man's misconduct has erupted into a national debate about monarchy, power, and public accountability. By the end of 2024, multiple MPs from both major parties, and even independents, began calling for sweeping reforms to royal oversight. What used to be sacred ground is now open season. The once taboo topics of crown estate profits, private duchy assets, and royal tax exemptions are being hauled into the spotlight. The Public Accounts Committee, one of the government's most powerful financial watchdogs, has already launched formal inquiries. Their primary focus? Investigating the quiet deals and undisclosed benefits tied to Prince Andrew's lifestyle, including grace and favor properties, unregulated travel perks, and possible off-books arrangements masked under the Duchy of Lancaster. Some insiders fear the next move could be a full forensic audit of royal finances, something that has never been done in British constitutional history. One senior MP said bluntly on record, "If this were any other publicly funded institution, heads would have rolled already. The monarchy doesn't get a free pass anymore." Perhaps more surprising is the mainstream media's shift in tone. Publications like The Telegraph, Daily Express, and The Times, once staunchly loyal to the royals, are now printing exposés, opinion pieces, and deep-dive investigations into how the crown has quietly protected its own. Reporters are asking questions the palace used to block. That block no longer works. The press, once held at arm's length through royal protocol and subtle influence, is no longer playing along. Former palace insiders say the fear spell is broken. Leaks are becoming more frequent. Former staff are reaching out to journalists, not to protect, but to reveal. On the streets, the temperature is rising too. Public protests have emerged outside Kensington Palace, Windsor Castle, and even Downing Street, demanding royal transparency now. Online, the anger is growing louder. Hashtags like #abolish the crown, #no more cover-ups, and #royal reform now are trending regularly, especially among Gen Z and millennial voters. Polling data from October 2024 showed a 42% increase in Republican sentiment in just 6 months. That's not a blip. That's a cultural shift. Because this isn't just about Andrew anymore. It's about the system that enabled him, the family that protected him, and the machine that silenced his critics. The monarchy's carefully maintained mystique is disintegrating. Its gold-plated traditions no longer shine in a world where truth spreads faster than silence can contain it. The velvet glove has slipped, and beneath it, the public sees what they were never meant to: an institution built on privilege, not accountability. Unless the monarchy adapts drastically, this scandal may not just be the end of Andrew's royal relevance. It may be the beginning of the end for the monarchy itself. The bigger reckoning: is the monarchy running out of time? Prince Andrew's scandal isn't just a royal embarrassment, it's a lit fuse burning toward the heart of the monarchy itself. What once felt like an unfortunate personal controversy has become something far more dangerous: a symbol of systemic rot. The invisible armor that protected the monarchy for centuries, tradition, mystery, loyalty, is cracking under the weight of modern accountability. The public is no longer content with polite statements and vague, no-comment responses. People want receipts. They want names. They want consequences. Because Andrew's behavior didn't happen in a vacuum, it was tolerated, ignored, and in some cases, actively covered up by those tasked with upholding the crown. And now, the world is asking bigger, darker questions. How many other secrets are buried beneath Buckingham Palace's polished image? Who else was protected? What did senior royals know, and when? Insiders describe this moment as the one thing the firm feared most: a genie out-of-the-bottle scenario. A scandal too big, too loud, too well-documented to contain. Because once you pull on one thread, just one, the whole fabric begins to unravel. And that unraveling has already started. Whistleblowers, biographers, royal aides, investigative journalists. They're no longer afraid. Leaked memos, internal emails, freedom of information demands. Files once buried in obscure legal departments are being hunted down. The age of quiet royal dignity is being replaced by a new age of unfiltered truth. And it's ugly. What's more alarming is the monarchy's response: a stubborn refusal to adapt. Even after Andrew's disgrace, the palace continues to operate under a culture of silence and damage control. No transparency, no accountability, just well-dressed avoidance. But here's the truth: in the digital age, silence doesn't protect, it exposes. Screenshots last forever. Archive sites restore deleted pages. A 30-second TikTok can reach 20 million people overnight. The monarchy's tools of control, loyal press, sealed archives, insider privilege, are outdated weapons in a very modern war. And the stakes have never been higher. If the monarchy wants to survive, it has to evolve fast. It must prove that it stands for something beyond bloodlines and gold-plated ceremony. It must show the world that it values justice over protectionism, truth over tradition. Because if it doesn't, this isn't just a reckoning. It's the beginning of the end. Not with an explosion, but with a slow, public, painful collapse. The kind that history doesn't forget. And the world? It's not just watching anymore. It's keeping score. The final blow. A public that won't forget. A palace that can't hide. Despite relentless efforts to spin, contain, and distract, the public has opened its eyes, and there's no closing them now. Prince Andrew's disgrace isn't some isolated royal mishap. This isn't just about one man. It's the ugly result of decades of privilege without consequence, of an institution that has repeatedly chosen silence over accountability. What's truly shocking isn't just Andrew's behavior. It's how far the system went to shield him from consequences. From secret settlements and censored documents to loyal aides silencing staff and intimidating journalists, this wasn't neglect. It was a deliberate, well-oiled machine of protection. For years, the palace relied on a formula that always worked. Let time pass, change the subject, and the public will forget. But not this time. This scandal is sticking, and it's rotting the foundation of public trust. People aren't asking if Andrew is guilty anymore. They're asking how many others were protected just like him. They're questioning the Queen's choices. They're questioning Charles's inaction. They're questioning whether anyone behind those palace walls is actually held to the same moral standards as the rest of the country. Even royal supporters, those who once fiercely defended the firm, are beginning to shift. A recent poll showed a 32% drop in confidence in royal leadership in just 2 months. Conservative newspapers, once the monarchy's strongest allies, are running headlines demanding reform. The silence is no longer noble. It's cowardice, one editorial wrote. And this isn't just a British issue anymore. Global media is circling, with American, Australian, and European outlets calling out the Crown's outdated secrecy. How can they talk about modern monarchy with this kind of rot underneath? Asked one U.S. anchor on primetime television. This moment, this crisis, is a mirror held up to the monarchy, and what's staring back is uncomfortable. A legacy once built on duty and service now appears soaked in entitlement, protectionism, and arrogance. The question isn't whether this will pass. The question is whether the monarchy can survive unchanged. Because when a crown built on honor protects predators and silences victims, maybe it's not the public that should bow anymore. The world isn't just watching, it's demanding answers. And for once, the palace has run out of places to hide. What you've just heard isn't gossip. It's a rare look into a world designed to stay hidden. Prince Andrew's actions, long protected by royal silence, are now exposed by those who once stood guard. But the bigger question remains: how many others were shielded? As the walls of secrecy fall, the monarchy faces its biggest reckoning yet. The crown may survive this storm, but it won't come out unchanged. Because when justice knocks at the gates of royalty, even a prince can't hide forever. Stay tuned. The palace may still be holding secrets we haven't even begun to uncover.